The desert spanning Arizona and New Mexico has long been woven into Native American myths and legends. It's seen by many as a place of mystical power, a spiritual vortex where natural beauty and supernatural energy converge. In 1988, this striking yet harsh wilderness became the backdrop for a real-life puzzle. The mystery started on Halloween. At dawn, on October 31st, 140 miles east of Tucson, Arizona, local farmer Larry Rivers encountered a young stranger who said he was searching for the beast. A witness named Larry Rivers recalls an encounter. "I pulled over and rolled down my window. 'Hello, you lost?' I asked. He looked at me calmly. 'No, I'm not lost.' 'Well, what are you doing out here?' 'I'm looking for the beast,' he said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I chuckled. 'You're not going to find any beast out here.' 'I'll find it,' he replied with determination. 'Well, I'm going to keep looking.' 'You need a ride somewhere?' I offered. 'No,' he shook his head. 'I'll be fine.' The stranger was later identified as 29-year-old David Stone, who had been missing for 2 years. David was once a highly successful stock market analyst, managing a branch of his father's business in La Jolla, California. However, around 4 years earlier, he expressed a desire to change his life and became deeply involved with a New Age movement. This movement encompassed various religious beliefs and philosophies aimed at self-enlightenment and spiritual growth, often involving practices like crystal healing, pyramid power, and meditation. Unfortunately, David's intense obsession with his newfound spirituality may have led him down a journey with no return. David's father, Harry, described him as an overachiever in nearly every aspect of his life. Known for his kindness and gentleness, he was deeply devoted to his family, always present and caring. Yet, this same man transformed completely when he stepped onto a football field. In his uniform, he became a proverbial commando, displaying a fierce intensity and relentless drive that stood in stark contrast to his off-field demeanor. This duality in David was remarkable. Off the field, he was thoughtful and considerate, embodying the qualities of a loving family member. On the field, however, he was a formidable athlete, channeling his inner strength to every play. This unique blend of strength and kindness defined David, making him both a gentle soul and a powerhouse competitor. For years, David grappled with his dual nature. Then, on October 28th of 1988, during a party at his apartment, David momentarily lost control. A friend of David's, John Duffus, describes the encounter. David started hitting him. He said he might have hit him 20 or 25 times. He didn't really hurt him, but he felt like he had to do that. Roughly around 9 o'clock the next morning, he came down and told me what he had done. I asked him where he was going, and he replied, "Oh, I'm not sure. Maybe to the Grand Canyon, Sonora Desert, I don't know." David told John that he needed some time away to reflect on his explosive behavior, promising to return home in a few days. However, 5 days later, David's car was found abandoned on a desolate stretch of New Mexico highway on Route 80. When they hadn't heard from David, his family had contacted the New Mexico State Police. It was then that they learned his car had been found abandoned and had been towed in. The police interviewed local residents and discovered that several had seen David. Lillian Richens recounted, "We had left our home in Cotton City and were driving up to the ranch. As we passed by, we saw this young man and thought perhaps he'd had car trouble. So we stopped. 'Hi, you broke down? You having car trouble?' we asked. 'No, I'm okay, thank you,' he replied. So we just went on." Another local, Glenn Duncan, shared his encounter. "I heard this voice and saw a man walking across the way, saying, 'Be gone, I am the power.' It struck me as unusual that he'd be out in the desert at that time of year wearing shorts with no coat or anything." David's car was found near the Pyramid Mountain Range, a site significant to New Age philosophy. Every year, many followers visit this area for what are known as vision quests. According to New Age beliefs, a vision quest is an introspective journey undertaken to discover one's inner self. It is thought that through isolation and meditation, a person can experience a vision that reveals their true identity. Harry Stone believed that upon arriving at the Pyramid Mountain Range, David felt it was the perfect starting point for his vision quest. Harry explained that such a journey requires a significant process of preparation, which involves confronting what is termed the beast. The beast represents the evil or negativity within oneself, and it is something that every person must face and conquer before achieving a state of oneness with God. Harry was convinced that David was determined to undertake this personal and transformative quest. 4 days after his son's car was found, Harry Stone joined a full-scale manhunt organized by the Boot Heel Search and Rescue Team. For 3 days, they scoured the desert using 4 planes and over 40 trackers and volunteers on the ground. David's trail led northwest from his car, heading towards Granite Peak. Ralph Doughty found it intriguing that the mountain, when viewed from the south, had a pyramid-like shape. He noted that this distinctive appearance might have held some significance for David's belief, though he couldn't be certain. It was an interesting observation, suggesting a possible connection to the New Age symbolism that might have influenced David's journey. Half a mile from the highway, searchers uncovered the first in a series of bizarre clues left by David. John Hill recounted that searchers discovered a large pyramid made of sand and rocks up in a wash. This was the first clue they found. As John continued further down the canyon, he noticed that the tracks seemed very fresh. He experienced a strange sensation, the hair on his arm standing up, accompanied by an intense feeling that David was somewhere nearby, possibly watching him. On the second day, trackers stumbled upon another puzzling clue. David had constructed another small pyramid, but this time he left behind his gold Rolex watch and 2 quarters. The coins in David's watch were found about a quarter-mile from the first pyramid. Roughly 3 miles to the north, searchers uncovered another baffling clue, a sequence of numbers written in the sand. They were later identified as part of the Fibonacci series, commonly used by stock market analysts worldwide. However, the last number in the sequence, which should have been 21, was written as 18 by David. The Stones now believe that the number 18 might have been David's way of signaling that he was in trouble. Ironically, his car was found at mile marker 18, and during his senior year in college, David's football jersey number was also 18. By the final day of the search, the elements had nearly erased David's footprints. However, bloodhounds managed to track his scent across the rocky desert terrain, following it back to Highway 80. The trail abruptly ended at the intersection of Interstate 10, about 13 miles north of where his car had been found. At the time, searchers took it as a hopeful sign that possibly David had hitchhiked out or someone had picked him up and given him a ride. That was the only explanation they could think of for why his scent vanished so abruptly. At the conclusion of the search, Carol and Harry Stone conducted a thorough inventory of the items left in David's car. Hidden inside a pocket version of the New Testament, they discovered a business card with the name Tony Ballesteros and an Arizona phone number. They promptly reached out to Ballesteros. Ballesteros said, "I never met David Stone myself, but a possible way he could have gotten my card is that I placed it in a tree for other friends to find our campsite. Maybe the wind blew it down and he picked it up later. But at this point, nothing makes sense how my card got into his Bible." In addition to the business card, the Stones discovered a note with unusual wording. The note said, "They think the word is in the safe. 6 knives in Rob's room. Use buys your tea and use take your chances. Halloween." No one was sure what the word tea meant. The Stones think it might be like the old saying, you buy your ticket and you take your chances. But the note just says, use buy your tea and use take your chances, Halloween. And that was the day he disappeared, October 31st, Halloween. What is the meaning behind the strange clues David left scattered across the desert? Were they a coded message indicating that he was in trouble, or a hint towards his ultimate destination? It appears that David successfully walked out of the desert, but what happened to him after he reached the intersection of Highway 80 and Interstate 10? Carol Stone explained, "There are always these unanswered questions. You know, life has to go on, and it's very difficult at times. We always want him to feel free to contact us, to let him know that we love him, and we want to hear from him." As the years have passed, the mystery of David Stone's disappearance remains unsolved, leaving his family and friends with more questions than answers. The clues he left behind, from the strange pyramid to the cryptic note, continue to puzzle those who search for meaning in his last known actions. Did David's spiritual quest lead him to an unforeseen fate, or did he find a way out of the desert, only to begin a new, unknown chapter in his life? We invite you to share your thoughts and theories on what might have happened to David. Could the clues he left behind provide insight into his ultimate destination or state of mind? Your perspective and ideas might shed new light on this enduring mystery. Please leave your comments and join the discussion on what could have become of David Stone. The disappearance of Deputy Jonathan Aujay is one of the most puzzling and unresolved mysteries in Los Angeles County. Aujay, an experienced hiker and ultramarathon runner, vanished on June 11th of 1998 during a hike in the Devil's Punch Bowl natural area. Despite exhaustive efforts to find him, no conclusive evidence about his fate has ever been uncovered, leaving the case shrouded in mystery and speculation. The initial search for Aujay was extensive and thorough. Authorities mobilized a vast array of resources, including helicopters, search dogs, and numerous search and rescue personnel, to scour the rugged terrain of the Devil's Punch Bowl. The area, known for its challenging and treacherous landscape, was meticulously searched. Searchers discovered footprints near Mount Baden-Powell, suggesting that Aujay had indeed ventured into this wilderness. However, these footprints led nowhere, and no further evidence or personal items were found. The search, despite its intensity and scale, yielded no substantial clues, leaving Jonathan Aujay's disappearance a baffling mystery. The extensive search efforts underscored the seriousness with which authorities treated the case. Teams worked tirelessly, covering a vast and difficult terrain, but the lack of findings only deepened the puzzle. The footprints found near Mount Baden-Powell raised hopes but ultimately led to a dead end. The mystery of where Aujay went after leaving these tracks continues to perplex searchers and investigators alike. Following the unsuccessful search, subsequent investigations were launched, involving both the FBI and internal probes within the Sheriff's Department. These investigations explored various theories, including the possibility of suicide and foul play. The suicide theory was based on Jonathan's behavior before he disappeared. In the days leading up to his hike, Jonathan gave away several personal items, such as his father's gold necklace and his running medals, which some interpreted as a sign he was putting his affairs in order. However, his family and friends strongly disputed this theory, emphasizing his close relationship with his daughter and his generally positive outlook on life. They insisted that Jonathan was not someone who would take his own life, highlighting his excitement about upcoming personal and professional opportunities. The theory of foul play suggested a more sinister scenario. Allegations arose that Jonathan might have uncovered illegal activities, such as methamphetamine production, involving corrupt law enforcement officers. Informants and some of Jonathan Aujay's colleagues claimed that he was silenced to prevent him from exposing these activities. This theory was supported by reports that Jonathan Aujay had been involved in investigating corruption within the department, and some believe he had become a target because of what he knew. Despite these serious allegations and the subsequent investigations, no definitive evidence was ever found to confirm any of these theories. The potential involvement of corruption within the Sheriff's Department added a layer of complexity and intrigue to the case, but without concrete proof, these theories only remained speculative. These investigations delved into various leads and informants' claims. One informant reported hearing that Jonathan had come across something he shouldn't have during his hike, and he was taken care of. Another informant claimed that Jonathan had been seen with two armed bikers before his disappearance, but despite these leads, still no evidence was ever found. Jonathan's disappearance left a profound and lasting impact on his family. They continue to struggle with the lack of closure, living in a state of perpetual uncertainty. The unanswered questions surrounding his fate have caused immense emotional pain and distress. His family have been left to navigate their lives without the comfort of knowing what happened to him, which has been particularly hard on his daughter, who shared a close bond with her father. The enduring mystery means that every day is a reminder of his absence and the unanswered questions that loom over their lives. Jonathan Aujay's colleagues in the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department are equally haunted by his mysterious disappearance. Many who work closely with him are troubled not only by the loss of a friend and fellow deputy, but also by the potential implications of corruption that some theories suggested. The idea that one of their own could be involved in a cover-up or foul play adds a layer of mistrust and fear within the department. This suspicion created an atmosphere of unease and has left many deputies feeling unsettled and questioning the integrity of their organization. The lack of answers have fostered a sense of unresolved tension and anxiety among Jonathan Aujay's colleagues. The ongoing impact of Jonathan Aujay's disappearance is a testament to the profound effects that such mysterious and unresolved cases can have on the personal and professional lives of those connected to it. The search for answers continues, with the hope that someday the truth will emerge, bringing closure to his family, peace to his colleagues, and restoring the integrity to the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. It is important to emphasize that even seemingly trivial details can be pivotal in solving this case. Law enforcement officials need every piece of the puzzle to build a complete picture of the events surrounding Jonathan's disappearance. For example, if you have any knowledge regarding the allegations of corruption and illegal activities within the Sheriff's Department, this information could be crucial. It might corroborate existing suspicions or open new lines of inquiry. Your contribution could provide the breakthrough that investigators need to make significant progress in this case. If you were in the Devil's Punch Bowl area on or around June 11th of 1998 and saw anything unusual, please report it. If you've heard anything about this case or the allegations of corruption, share this information with authorities. If you're concerned about revealing your identity, you can provide information anonymously. Many law enforcement agencies offer ways to submit tips without disclosing your name. Your assistance is critical in helping to resolve this case. Jonathan Aujay's family continues to live in pain and uncertainty, and his colleagues remain haunted by the unanswered questions. By coming forward with any information you might have, you can help bring some peace and contribute to the pursuit of justice. John Sturkie, a 55-year-old electrician, lived a life marked by a profound appreciation for the outdoors and a deep commitment to his family. A member of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers for over 26 years, John was not only skilled in his trade, but also possessed a warm and generous nature that made him a beloved figure among friends and colleagues. His adventurous spirit often led him into the wilderness, engaging in activities that ranged from hunting and skiing to surfing and camping. John's leadership skills shone through his role with the Federation of North American Explorers, where he mentored boys and organized camping trips, often connecting with the more challenging youths. John shared his life with his wife, Teresa, with whom he celebrated 20 years of marriage, and together they raised 4 children. The family's bond was strengthened through numerous shared adventures, and John instilled in his children a love for the great outdoors. His life was full of meaningful relationships and cherished experiences, with each thread representing his roles as a son, husband, father, and friend. The mystery surrounding John's disappearance began on January 4th of 2019, when he embarked on what was supposed to be a routine off-roading excursion in the San Jacinto Mountains, an area he knew well and often visited. With his 4x4 Toyota Tundra, John ventured into the mountainous terrain, a place where he had previously felt safe and at peace. However, this trip was different. As night fell and a heavy snowstorm swept through the mountains, John found himself trapped and alone. Despite his extensive outdoor experience and familiarity with the area, John Sturkie vanished without a trace, setting the stage for a perplexing mystery that would captivate and concern all that knew him. On January 4th of 2019, John Sturkie set out on an impromptu adventure that would soon turn into a puzzle shrouded in the snowy veils of the San Jacinto Mountains. That morning, the weather in the mountain region was deceptively calm, but as is common in mountainous terrains, conditions deteriorated rapidly towards the afternoon. By the time John initiated his journey, the skies were overcast, and the chilling whispers of an incoming snowstorm were noticeable in the air. John's last known activity was driving his robust 4x4 Toyota Tundra towards the Fuller Ridge trailhead, a popular yet rugged route in the mountains. Known for its scenic views and challenging paths, the trail was familiar for John, offering him the solitude and challenge he often sought. However, this time, his journey into the mountains was not pre-planned, nor had he informed anyone of his destination. His family and friends believed it to be just another day until he failed to return home. As dusk approached, the weather took a dramatic turn. The temperature plummeted, and what started as a light snowfall escalated into a severe blizzard, cloaking the mountain in white and reducing the visibility to nearly zero. The sudden shift in weather conditions was typical for this region, but catastrophic for an unprepared traveler like John, who found himself in the midst of a perilous whiteout. Unknown to his family, John was struggling against the elements. The lack of informing anyone of his whereabouts left his loved ones unaware of the brewing crisis. It was only as the hours stretched into days without any word from him that the unsettling silence began to raise alarms. The realization that John might be lost, or worse, started to take root, initiating a desperate search against the ticking clock and the unforgiving mountain weather. This mysterious silence marked the beginning of a perplexing case that would challenge the resources and resolve of everyone involved. The unsettling mystery of John Sturkie's disappearance began to unravel when his wife, Teresa, faced the inexplicable silence following what she believed was a routine day for John. As hours turned into a worrying overnight absence, Teresa, fraught with anxiety, initiated a search for any clue that might reveal his whereabouts. Her first breakthrough came when she decided to investigate John's phone records, a move driven by desperation and intuition. These records led her to a startling discovery. John's phone last pinged in the remote and rugged terrain of the San Jacinto Mountains, a location he had not mentioned visiting. This crucial piece of information redirected the search efforts and intensified the urgency of the situation. Simultaneously, a seemingly unrelated 911 call had been made on the day of John's disappearance. This call was dialed by a group of off-roaders who had stumbled upon John after his truck became ensnared in a rough patch near the Fuller Ridge trailhead. These well-meaning strangers managed to help free the stuck vehicle. During their brief interaction, they noticed John's calm demeanor, but were unaware of the peril he was about to face as the weather conditions worsened. They reported the incident to the emergency services, hoping to secure some assistance for John. However, the dispatcher receiving the 911 call misclassified the situation as a simple vehicle disablement rather than an urgent rescue scenario. This critical error stemmed from the off-roaders' assurances that John had declined further help, leading the dispatcher to prioritize other emergency calls perceived as more dire. As a result, no rescue teams were dispatched, and John was left to face the rapidly deteriorating weather conditions alone. The initial misclassification of the emergency had dire consequences. As the storm intensified, John's situation grew increasingly perilous, yet the authorities remained unaware of the gravity of his situation. This oversight delayed the search and rescue operations, crucial in early hours of a disappearance in such treacherous conditions. The gap between John's actual needs and the response mobilized by emergency services created a critical window during which John was lost to the elements, his fate hanging in the balance while his trail grew cold in the snow-covered mountains. The search for John Sturkie evolved into a massive effort that tested the resolve and resources of both local authorities and the community. The Riverside County Sheriff's Department spearheaded a series of extensive searches that included multiple helicopter sweeps over the rugged terrains. These aerial searches were critical, given the challenging geography and the severe winter conditions that blanketed the area with thick snow, making ground searches perilous and slow. Despite these efforts, the helicopters were unable to locate John's truck, largely due to the dense forest canopy and the intermittent heavy snowfall that obscured aerial views. The terrain itself posed significant obstacles. Steep ravines and thick underbrush made the mountainous area nearly impassable in places, further complicating the search operation. Amidst these challenges, the community rallied to contribute to the search efforts. Kathy Tarr, a local with intimate knowledge of the mountain trails, and John King, who had experience in search and rescue, became pivotal figures. Their involvement brought a nuanced understanding of the terrain and potential areas where John might have sought shelter or inadvertently strayed. As weeks turned into months with no sign of John, official efforts began to wane. However, the determination of Teresa Sturkie, bolstered by Kathy Tarr and John King, kept the search alive. The community-led initiative refocused efforts on areas less traveled, theorizing that John might have sought a less obvious path in an attempt to find help. The breakthrough came when John King, revisiting areas previously searched, spotted the top of a vehicle wedged against a rock below the Filler Ridge campground. This discovery reignited the search efforts at a time when official resources were beginning to pull back. The truck's location, in a remote part of the trail not visible from the air and difficult to access on foot, highlighted the critical role of local knowledge in such searches. Following the discovery of John's truck, the community and family-led searches continued with renewed vigor and purpose, despite the official search ceasing. They coordinated efforts, shared data meticulously, and persisted throughout challenging weather conditions, driven by a collective resolve to uncover the fate of John Sturkie. This phase of the search underscored the profound impact of community involvement and the essential nature of hope in the face of adversity. The prolonged and arduous search for John Sturkie culminated in a sobering discovery on a steep, secluded ravine on the northern slopes of the San Jacinto Mountains. It was a somber resolution to the mysterious disappearance of a man who had ventured into the wilderness only to vanish without a trace. The discovery occurred after extensive searches by both authorities and volunteers, highlighting the persistent efforts of a community united by hope and determination. John's body was found in a condition that indicated he had succumbed to the harsh elements of his environment. The recovery operation was challenging due to the location's inaccessibility. Positioned 400 feet downhill from the Pacific Crest Trail, the ravine was not visible from standard search paths and required specialized equipment to reach. A helicopter had to be deployed to retrieve John's remains, underscoring the difficult terrain that had isolated him in his final moments. The medical examination of John's remains was equally complicated. The primary challenge was the determination of the exact date of his death, which was crucial for both legal and personal reasons. Due to the advanced state of decomposition, the coroner's office faced difficulties in establishing a precise time of death. Initially, the date of death was listed as June, months after John had actually disappeared. This discrepancy had significant implications, notably affecting the life insurance benefits for the Sturkie family. This issue sparked a contentious debate regarding the practices of the medical examiner's office. Teresa Sturkie, John's wife, advocated vigorously for an accurate estimation of the date of death based on the condition of the remains and the last known activities of her husband. She argued that the evidence strongly suggested that John died shortly after his disappearance, not months later, as the official documents stated. The determination of the death date in cases like John's is often guided by both forensic evidence and environmental factors, yet the unique circumstances of his disappearance made standard procedures difficult to apply in his case. The discovery of John Sturkie not only brought closure to a painful chapter for his family and community, but also highlighted the complexities involved in resolving cases of individuals who go missing in vast, unforgivable landscapes. The recovery operation and subsequent forensic investigations underscored the challenges faced by search and rescue teams and the critical importance of accuracy in medical and legal follow-ups in such cases. The resolution of John Sturkie's disappearance brought profound emotional and psychological effects for Teresa and their children. The relief of finally knowing his fate was mixed with the deep sorrow of loss. For months, the uncertainty had left the family in a state of hope and grief, which significantly impacted their mental health and daily lives. Teresa often spoke of the anxiety that gripped her children, describing the immense relief they felt upon learning that their father had been found, yet also acknowledging the foundation of their lives had been irreversibly altered. The ordeal underscores the emotional toll of a missing loved one, where the lack of closure can perpetuate pain and uncertainty. The community's response to John's disappearance and eventual discovery was marked by an overwhelming show of solidarity and support. Local volunteers, many of whom had never met John, dedicated countless hours to the search, driven by a sense of community duty and compassion. Local authorities, despite the initial cessation of the search, resumed efforts following the persistent advocacy by the community and the Sturkie family. This collaboration highlights the community's capacity to rally together in times of crisis, providing emotional and logistical support that proved crucial throughout the search and after John's discovery. Teresa faced significant administrative hurdles, particularly with the coroner's office and the insurance company. The misclassification of the date of John's death on official documents complicated the process of claiming life insurance, which is often critical for families dealing with loss. Furthermore, Teresa's request for detailed search reports were repeatedly denied, adding to her frustration and the family's financial strain. These challenges illuminated the bureaucratic obstacles that can exacerbate the difficulties families face following such tragedies. John Sturkie's adventurous spirit and his profound love for his family were central to his identity. His legacy, characterized by his passion for the outdoors and his commitment to mentoring young people, continues to inspire those who knew him. The memories of shared adventure and his enduring influence on his children and community offer some comfort amidst all this grief. The ordeal brought to light several key lessons about emergency preparedness and the importance of community support in times of crisis. The Sturkie family's experience highlighted the need for better coordination and communication in emergency responses and a more empathetic approach to the bureaucratic processes affecting grieving families. Moreover, the community's role in sustaining search efforts and supporting the family emphasized the invaluable impact of collective action during such critical situations. For the Sturkies, obtaining closure was not just a personal relief, but a communal achievement, reminding everyone involved in the resilience and strength that can emerge in the face of profound challenges. On October 28, 1981, in the suburban area of Newburgh Heights, Ohio, just outside Cleveland, a seemingly ordinary day turned eerie for three young boys who stumbled upon something unexpected. The boys approached cautiously and realized they had discovered a body. It was eerily placed as if someone had carefully positioned it. The body had minor cuts and bruises, but no obvious signs of violence. One of the body's tennis shoes was found lodged among some rocks about 12 feet away, while the other shoe was missing entirely. Within a few hours, the authorities identified the body as 17-year-old Kurt Sova, who had been missing for 5 days. An autopsy later revealed that Kurt had died 24 to 36 hours before his body was discovered, adding to the puzzle of where he had been and what had happened to him during those days. Dorothy Sova, the mother of 17-year-old Kurt, was tormented by unanswered questions following her son's tragic death. Desperate for clarity, she expressed her anguish, saying, "I need to know where Kurt was during those 5 days. What happened to him? What caused his death? I'm convinced someone knows because they placed him there. They had to have been with him when he died or found him afterwards and then panicked. They didn't want to get caught with him." Her words reflected a mother's relentless pursuit of the truth, convinced that someone holds the key to unraveling the mystery surrounding her son's final days. Desperate for answers, Dorothy Sova turned to the television show Unsolved Mysteries to help unravel the truth. The questions haunting everyone were, where had Kurt been during the days he was missing? Did he die in that vacant lot, or was his body brought there after he died? And how could a seemingly healthy 17-year-old die with no clear cause? The sudden and unexplained death of a teenager is always tragic, But for Ken and Dorothy Sova, the parents of Kurt, the pain was deepened by the mysterious and perplexing circumstances surrounding their son's disappearance and death. Kurt Sova lived with his parents in a close-knit, hard-working community on the outskirts of Cleveland. As the youngest of 4 sons, Kurt had a particularly strong bond with his parents. Ken Sova, Kurt's father, struggled to make sense of his son's sudden and mysterious death. Reflecting on Kurt's character and behavior, he said, "Kurt was never in trouble with the neighbors, at school, or with the police. That's what makes this so confusing and hard to understand." His words highlighted the baffling nature of Kurt's case, as if his son had always been well-behaved and trouble-free, making the circumstances of his disappearance and death all the more perplexing. The last time Kurt was seen alive was on Friday, October 23rd, 1981, late in the afternoon. He had left home and met up with a friend just a block away from his house. Kurt didn't return home that night, which was unusual for him. He was always home by 10:30 or 11 p.m. at the latest, and only if his parents knew where he was. By Saturday morning, worry had set in for his parents. Dorothy began calling Kurt's friends to see if they had seen him, while Ken searched the neighborhood and local hangouts. Ken Sova, deeply concerned for his missing son, described the frantic search efforts he and his wife undertook. He recounted, "We checked everywhere we thought Kurt might be. As the day went on with no sign of him, my worry turned into fear." His words capture the growing dread and helplessness he felt as hours turned into a desperate search, realizing that something was terribly wrong. By Sunday, Kurt's parents reported him missing to the Cleveland Police Department. Dorothy covered the neighborhood with flyers bearing Kurt's picture, hoping someone had seen him. Dorothy Sova described the exhaustive search she and her husband undertook to find their missing son. She said, "We looked everywhere we could think of, ravines, schoolyards, even dumpsters, hoping to find any clue to his whereabouts." That Sunday afternoon, a glimmer of hope appeared. Kurt's friends mentioned that he had attended a party on Friday night in Newburgh Heights, less than 2 miles from his home. Dorothy went to the duplex where the party was reportedly held. When Dorothy arrived, determined to find out what happened to her son Kurt, there she encountered a frustrating dead end. She knocked on the door, hoping to speak with someone named Susan, who was said to have hosted the party the night Kurt disappeared. "Are you Susan?" Dorothy asked, her voice filling with urgency. "No, she's not here right now," the woman at the door responded, offering no further information. Desperate for answers, Dorothy pressed on. "Was there a party here last Friday?" "I don't know," the woman replied nonchalantly. "Can you leave your number? I'll have Susan call you." Dorothy left her contact details, but the vague responses only deepened her frustration, making the search for Kurt's whereabouts even more agonizing. When Dorothy eventually spoke with Susan, she was told that there had been no party and that she hadn't seen Kurt. However, a pizza delivery man confirmed that there had indeed been a party at the duplex that night. Pressed further, Susan finally admitted that Kurt had been drinking heavily, which was surprising to those who knew him, as he wasn't known to drink much. Dorothy was taken aback when she learned the details about her son's behavior on the night that he disappeared. Reflecting on what she had discovered, she said, "I was shocked to hear he was drinking. It was unlike him, but perhaps he was trying to fit in with this new crowd." Her words reveal the bewilderment and sadness that she felt, grappling with the idea that her son, who was not known to drink, might have been influenced by unfamiliar faces and circumstances that led to his mysterious and tragic fate. According to a friend, Kurt had felt unwell at the party and had been taken outside to get some fresh air. The friend left Kurt briefly to retrieve his jacket, but when he returned, Kurt was gone. Kurt's disappearance became even more alarming when a friend described the moment he realized Kurt was missing. Recounting his feelings, the friend said, "That's when my panic set in. I was terrified that something terrible had happened to him." His words convey the immediate dread and fear that gripped him, sensing that the situation had turned dire and that Kurt might be in serious danger. On Wednesday, October 28th, 5 days after he had last been seen, Kurt's body was found in a ravine just 500 yards from the duplex. As investigators surveyed the scene where Kurt Sova's body was discovered, one of them offered an unsettling assessment. He noted, "It appears to be a young male, likely around 17. We believe his body was placed here. Whoever did this knew the area well enough to hide the body where it would eventually be found by kids or passerbys." This observation suggested a calculated act by someone familiar with the local landscape, choosing a spot where the body would not remain hidden forever, but be uncovered in a manner that would draw attention and leave more questions than answers. Police discovered Kurt's left shoe was wedged in some rocks close by, but the right shoe was never found. His body was taken to the Cayuga County Coroner's Office for an autopsy. The coroner determined that Kurt had died 24 to 36 hours before his body was found, suggesting he had been alive for at least 3 days after leaving the party. The autopsy results provided little clarity in the case of Kurt Sova's mysterious death. Reflecting on the findings, the coroner stated, "We couldn't determine exactly how Kurt died. There were no signs of physical trauma, no lethal amount of alcohol in his system, and no pre-existing health conditions. It remains a mystery we can't resolve without more information." These remarks underscore the baffling nature of Kurt's death, as every potential cause seemed to be ruled out, leaving a profound and troubling void in the investigation, with crucial details still eluding the grasp of those seeking the truth. For Kurt's parents, the lack of clear answers was agonizing. Dorothy, heartbroken and desperate for answers, expressed her deep frustration and sorrow over the mysterious circumstances surrounding her son's death. She said, "I don't understand how they can't tell us how he died. I just want to know what happened to my boy and who left him there. I wouldn't do this to an animal, let alone a person. I need to know what happened to Kurt." Her words reflect the anguish of a grieving mother, unable to comprehend how her son's death could remain unexplained, and pleading for the truth about who was responsible and why they left him in such a heartless manner. As the shock of Kurt's death began to subside, Dorothy started to piece together the unusual events that took place during the days he was missing. On the Monday after his disappearance, a friend named David Trisnick claimed that he saw Kurt and another boy walking along a busy street near their home. David, a friend of Kurt's, recalled the crucial encounter that took place during Kurt's disappearance. He explained, "I was on my way to a job interview when I saw Kurt with someone that I didn't recognize. I pulled over to offer them a ride, but a van pulled up. Kurt ran over to the van, shouting, 'Franco!' They both got into the van. If I had known Kurt was missing, I might have followed them or done something, but I didn't know." David's account highlights a missed opportunity and the haunting realization that, unknowingly, he witnessed what could have been a key moment in understanding Kurt's last days, further deepening the mystery of his disappearance. That same Monday, a stranger was seen hanging around the Sova's neighborhood. He noticed Kurt's missing poster in a local record store. While Kurt Sova was still missing, a chilling conversation unfolded in the local record store. The stranger, looking at the missing poster of Kurt, asked for the store manager. "Hey, what's with that missing poster?" he asked. The manager replied, "Oh, it's about a local boy." The stranger's response was unsettling. "You should take it down. You'll find him dead in 2 days, and no one will be able to tell you why." This eerie prediction hinted at a dark foreknowledge, casting a shadow over the search for Kurt. It suggested that someone knew of Kurt's fate and the unresolved mystery surrounding his disappearance, adding to the growing sense of dread and confusion among those desperately seeking answers. Initially dismissed as a prank, the store manager was spooked when, the next day, before opening, the stranger left a note that read, "Roses are red, sky is blue, they found him dead, and they'll find you too." This cryptic note, coupled with its eerie rhyme, suggested a sinister warning and implied a chilling connection to Kurt's fate. It added an element of menace, as if someone knew more than they were saying and was threatening those seeking the truth. The message deepened the mystery, leaving everyone wondering who could have such knowledge and what dark secrets remained hidden. The police questioned the man, and the police claimed he was just a crazy from Detroit. After questioning, they let him go, and when Kurt was found dead, the man had vanished. On the morning of October 28th, the day that Kurt's body was found, Dorothy received a call from Susan, the woman from the party. She recalled, "I got a call at 3:30 a.m. Susan said someone was sleeping in her basement and suggested that it might be Kurt. After all her lies, I didn't know what to believe. Why call me now, after all this time? Dorothy's account captures her deep skepticism and confusion. Susan, who had previously been misleading about Kurt's presence at the party, now offered this startling information. The timing and content of the call only added to the complexity and uncertainty surrounding Kurt's fate, leaving Dorothy torn between hope and mistrust as she struggled to piece together the truth. Despite the best efforts of his family, friends, and authorities, the circumstances surrounding Kurt's disappearance and death have never been fully understood. Each lead seemed to unravel into a deeper confusion, from Kurt's puzzling absence during those crucial 5 days to the eerie predictions and warnings that surfaced after his body was found. The discovery of Kurt's body in a ravine, devoid of clear signs of trauma or a definitive cause of death, has left a haunting void. His parents, Ken and Dorothy Sova, tirelessly sought the truth, driven by love and the unyielding need for closure. They navigated a maze of contradictory stories, uncooperative witnesses, and strange encounters, all while grappling with the devastating loss of their son. Dorothy's encounters with individuals like Susan, who provided inconsistent information, and the chilling interactions with strangers hinting at dark knowledge, only deepened the mystery. Each detail added another layer to the already intricate web of Kurt's last days, leaving more questions than answers. The pleas of Kurt's parents, reflecting their anguish and their quest for answers, resonate deeply. They wanted nothing more than to understand how their son, a boy who had never caused trouble, met with such an inexplicable end. Ken's recollection of Kurt's character and Dorothy's relentless search illustrate the depths of their love and the profound impact of their loss. The unsettling messages and the cryptic clues that emerged during the investigation have cast long shadows over this case. The strange poem left at the record store and the ominous phone call in the dead of the night hinted at a foreboding truth that remains just out of reach. Decades later, Kurt Sova's death is still a source of grief and bewilderment for his family and the local community. His story serves as a somber reminder of the fragility of life and the unresolved questions that can linger long after a tragedy has ended. As time passes, the hope for answers may fade, but the memory of Kurt Sova endures, preserved in the hearts of those who knew him and in the enduring quest for truth about his untimely death. The mystery of Kurt Sova's disappearance and death remains a chapter in unsolved cases, a testament to the enduring pain of unanswered questions and the relentless human desire for understanding and closure. Thank you for watching until the end of this video of these 4 puzzling stories. We hope they captivated your imagination and left you pondering the mysteries that surround us. From strange disappearances to cryptic clues left in the desert, these tales remind us that the world is filled with the unexplained. If you've enjoyed this journey into the unknown, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share this video with your friends and fellow mystery enthusiasts. Your support helps us to uncover and share more of these fascinating stories. We have many more mysteries waiting to be explored, so stay tuned for the next episode where we delve even deeper into the inexplicable. And if you feel inspired to show more support for our content, you can kindly leave a super chat for any amount. Your generous contributions help us to keep bringing you these riveting tales and continue our quest to uncover the secrets of our world. Thank you once again for your support. Remember, the truth is out there, and together we will find it. See you in the next video.